Where do you want to go next?
Let's go USC, which I have concluded is another team that might challenge for the division.
It's true. The Pac-12 South is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
It's wide open. You can make a case for a bunch of teams, not the least of which is USC. Many folks like USC. I don't dislike them. They were 5-1 last year. They lost by 7 to Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. Good season, all things considered. The problem, as ever, was that it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't better. And it feels like that's where we inevitably get to every year. The team is loaded. They should have done better.
Well, not as loaded as they used to be. Yeah.
Last year, they had Keedan Slovis at quarterback, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyler Vaughn's out wide, Elijah Vera Tucker along the line. The efficiency of the run game was not great. But then again, the running game is not the centerpiece of the offense. Almost 77% of the total offense came through the air, given that they run that Graham Harrell system, more of an air raidy thing. So they have dudes out wide. They've got a really good quarterback who's banged up.
Yeah. Brew McCoy not with the team right now, I believe, after he got into some trouble, disciplinary issues, off the field stuff.
Yeah.
Involving assault. Yeah.
So, let's see what happens this year with that running game. Again, the offense is not predicated on the running game, but if they could squeeze a little bit more efficiency out of it, it would make them better.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the blind items in, I believe, the Athletics preview of USC, that Graham Harrell was stubborn, that he should have run the ball more. He should have given it to his backs a little bit more, and he refuses to do so. So I don't know. For whatever that's worth, I'm not an X's and O's guy, but it seems like there's some conjecture out there that there's something on the table that USC is not taking advantage of.
Do you get the sense that, and I don't know of how much USC you watched last year, I'm sure you watched the bigger games, maybe ASU and the Pac-12 championship game. There's an element to me where, given how strong USC has recruited and how electric their receivers can look, if you remember back to like Michael Pittman and the best of Tyler Vaughn's, and there's Amon-Ra St. Brown, there sometimes feels like there's an element that USC is too much car for Graham Harrell. Like, he doesn't, this back tied in with our theme, but he doesn't fully know the gears. He doesn't fully know how to shift. He doesn't when to brake on the curves. Like, it's just a little too much car that he's not fully comfortable with.
Can't handle the V8.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if did you watch The Sopranos? There's a great scene where
I didn't watch The Sopranos. I did watch Starsky and Hutch with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson.
Okay.
And there's a scene in there.
Too much car.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a scene in The Sopranos, a really funny one, where Johnny Sack, one of the guys in the crew, buys a Maserati, and he's just showing it off and how impressive he is. And then he gets in and tries to drive it, and it is a nightmare. He puts his foot on the gas, and he loses full control of the car. It's a great scene. Okay, continue. Back to the Trojans.
Yeah, I don't know if I picked that up. Let me keep it within the context of what we saw last year. Okay, right. We'll get to the broader point.
Sure.
The line does need to improve up front. And whether that is to bolster a ground game or to keep Keedan Slovis from getting hurt, because Keedan Slovis has hurt that right arm twice now.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that they need to get better at on offense is third and short, fourth and short.
Situational
a lot
stuff.
of situations like that last year where they really struggled.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's an effort thing. I don't know if that's a strength and conditioning thing. I don't know what that is in particular, but that came back to bite them in many instances last year, and they need to improve now as we go into a full season, not just 6 games.
Right.
That's very obvious to me on offense. Defensively, they were learning Todd Orlando's system after he came over from Texas, and we've talked about it time and again here. He does run that hyper-aggressive system. He does run that hyper-aggressive system. Last year, USC had 16 takeaways, which was actually as many as they forced in all of 2019.
Great.
So it works.
Step forward.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
Step forward. Awesome stuff. They're still really young on defense, by the way, going into this year. So they do well this year. Hopefully they can build on it moving forward. So look, like the appeal for USC, I think, is pretty obvious. The appeal is that they should win the South. There's really no good reason why they shouldn't win the South. They have 16 guys back, including Slovis, including Drake London, their big target out wide, including Drake Jackson on defense. They add in Keontae Ingram, who comes over from Texas. They add in Korey Foreman, formerly the top player in the 21 class, who should be able to give them some pop off the edge on defense. We'll see. We haven't seen him. 24/7 Sports actually graded him higher. They do the historical recruiting rankings. They graded Korey Foreman higher than both Leonard Fournette and Adrian Peterson.
Wow.
So they're into him. He's like the 12th highest recruit of all time. There is so much back for this team on both sides of the ball, and there are no obvious killers in USC's path. And I think that's why I'm excited. It doesn't take a killer, though, to take down modern USC.
You're right.
No, you're right. Keedan Slovis is so important to this thing if it's going to take flight. He took a small step back last year. Not anything to be too concerned about in a COVID year.
No, he had Oregon on the schedule. It wasn't a step back. It was just a normal thing for him. Continue.
But I'm looking for a strong effort out of him this year.
Okay.
He's a Heisman contender for good reason. He's going to put up some numbers. He's going to go way too high in the draft because he's good. He's not great. Sorry.
That's okay.
We'll see how he holds up because he's had both the elbow issue and the shoulder issue on that right side. And I don't trust the offensive line to keep him safe. So that to me is an X factor. I like Slovis in this offense. I think he'll be fine. But they need to keep him upright and healthy. Defensively, I feel good about Todd Orlando's system. I think it's going to help. I think Drake Jackson's a beast at linebacker, and he's the best guy on the field on that side of the ball for SC. That may change if Korey Foreman comes in and makes an impact, but he's only a true freshman, so we'll have to wait and see. I feel pretty good, generally speaking, about their defense. And the other thing that I'll point out here, and I would hope that this differentiates us, at least to some small extent, from other USC previews out there.
Okay.
We haven't mentioned Clay Helton's name until now.
Correct.
He is perpetually on the hot seat. In part, I think it's because they never really wanted him at coach to begin with. He just happened to be the offensive guy who was nice and stable amid all sorts of uncertainty, and he got the job. And he's been there through the Kiffin thing and the Coach O thing and the Sark thing. So, maybe nothing will ever be good enough for people at USC. But Clay Helton's on the hot seat. That does make it interesting on some level, but that should not be the main reason why. The main reason for me is that they have the talent. They have the talent. They have been building. If they can't put it together this year, then maybe we can talk about Helton. But they have what they need if they want to try and build this thing and take another giant step forward.
So I think I largely agree. I think their offensive line is not good. Like, I understand they've had a couple players drafted these past couple years, but by and large and as a unit and where the recruiting of the offensive line has gone,
it's not gone to a great place.
It's not that good. And so on paper, the people who receive the majority of the attention, and I think we are all old enough to remember their recruiting class from 2 years ago, which was like a whole bunch of unimpressive. I mean, maybe those guys will work out, but it just in terms of the bar USC is set for talent. USC, it's easy to say they have the talent. It's easy to say they have a big talent advantage. That has shrunken. But with a solid defense and a now third-year starter at quarterback, it's fair that the expectations are where they are.
Totally.
But on another level, I don't like, who is the big edge rusher for this USC team? Who's getting after the quarterback?
Foreman. It could be Foreman.
So it's a true freshman who you're counting on to just occupy.
No. I said could. I don't know.
Could be.
But
no, I'm saying
it could be.
In terms of if a team has a talent advantage, then they should have a depth and a proven element to things, or a next guy up kind of thing that other teams don't have. And so I don't know, with the guys who departed after last year, like they have good like kind of tweener guys at like defensive tackle, defensive end, but like that outside linebacker, edge rush, like disruptive force. Like there's not a lot that I feel good about USC in the trenches. There's a couple guys on defense, but just otherwise, I think the reason they get beat is because their talent is probably overstated, especially on the offensive line. And that's what I think brings them back down to earth. It's why they can't consistently run. It's why against Oregon, Keedan Slovis finds himself tearing across the field, running for his life while trying to complete passes because his tackles don't hold up their end of the bargain. So that to me is the concern with the experience at, ASU, with the track record of Utah. And I don't know what their current, defensive line looks like, but I just benefit of the doubt, assume they've got guys waiting. That's the concern for me. That brings USC back down to earth.
Well, look, another one of those blind items that I referenced earlier was the fact that, speaking of their defense, right, that Drake Jackson is far and away the best player on the defense and everyone else is just sort of so-so.
Yeah, and I like Drake Jackson, and he's that guy, I suppose, who can be a disruptive force, but up front.
No, it's a fair point, Dan. It's a fair point. I do think the schedule's favorable. They get Utah at home. They have a bye week, then they go to Notre Dame. Later in the year, they're at Arizona State. But otherwise, I feel pretty good. And there's the UCLA game to close out the year, of course. But, I feel pretty good about this team. The Vegas over-under is 8.5. If you like the under here is why you're betting that. You are betting that because you are saying SC is going to go 0-3 against Utah, Notre Dame, and ASU. And then that they're also going to lose another one in there. Maybe to UCLA, I don't know who. But it's not a schedule with a ton of killers. They don't play Oregon. I would go over 8.5.
Nor Washington. Yeah, I think over is reasonable at this point. If you were just going to invest in a team to put it all together, I'm still down on the offensive line and some of the elements up front on defense. But who on the schedule is taking advantage?
No, exactly.
Is Utah scoring 35, 38 points against USC? I don't even Keedan Slovis. I believe he had a good game against Notre Dame 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Very good game.
So there's that element to things, and it's not like Notre Dame right now is appearing to match where they were last year, just because to compare Jack Cohn and where they were with Ian Book. I don't think it's an amazing year to get Notre Dame because I think they're still going to be really, really good. They're the clear best team on their schedule, on SC's schedule. But outside of Notre Dame and, some combination of UCLA and ASU, I think it's inexcusable that with this schedule and this experience, USC goes anything less than 10-2.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, the over-under is 8.5. I would go over flying colors.
They have BYU technically in a revenge spot because they lost that game a couple of years ago. That's in LA. UCLA is, it's always in LA, but that's, at the Coliseum. And, the weekender at Cal is going to be tough, and it's consecutive road games with ASU, but I think they should easily beat Cal if they are relatively on their game. I think they have a really good shot at beating ASU because I'm not as high on ASU. I like ASU, but I don't know. I'll stand by it. Inexcusable to win fewer than 10.